Hello and welcome. Today we are working on week 3. So what I would like to do is to talk first about your assignments and say thank you very much. I have received assignments from every student, and those that I did not receive an assignment from, I have spoken to their class captains, and so there were only, I think, 4 students. So that problem has been sorted out. You did a very good job. And I would also like to discuss what I'm going to do each week regarding the PowerPoint. So I'm going to try my best, first of all, this week to put the video into the PowerPoint so you don't have to watch them as 2 separate activities, I guess. So again, I want to apologize for me being so terrible at working with our computer system, but the beginning of the semester is always a little bit hectic and a little bit crazy, so don't worry. We work together, we work things out, and the most important point is that we are a team. So again, if you have any questions or any concerns, if there's anything at all you want to talk about, if there's anything you do not understand, please feel free to email me or you can call me. Probably email is the best way, again, to contact me, and then I can speak to you directly if we need to. So each week I want to start, I'm looking at the week 3 PowerPoint. Each week I will have explanation videos that match the PowerPoint, and I'm going to try my best to learn how to put videos into the PowerPoint so you can watch the video as you go through the PowerPoint. But because of the way that our school has, because of the way the school wants professors to set up the, put the learning, the different files and attachments onto the learning site, I'm going to attach the video separately, and I'm going to put it into the PowerPoint. So what I want to do each week is I would like to, again, put the video into 2 parts. So the PowerPoint will match also, but in the video, again, I'm going to work with the same format. So part 1 is going to be the 2 weeks previous. So for example, we are now in the second week of September, or sorry, our second week of the semester. But what I'm doing now is I'm working on week 3. So what I'm going to do is talk about the simple corrections from week 1, some things that I noticed, common things, common errors. And then I'm going to look at a review of the past week. So that would be for week 2. So that will be for part 1. And then for the PowerPoint, the second part, the part 2 video also, will be for that current week. So for us this week, we're moving into week 3, which then I will give you an explanation about week 3 and what your assignment is about. So we're going to move on now to week 3, part 1. So this is talking about week 1 and some simple errors that I noticed, which are quite easy for you to correct. And I think they're things that you probably do know, but maybe when you're writing, you don't necessarily think about it. But please do be careful. So from your week 1 assignments, I've given you 2 quizzes. So in quiz number 1, I would like to see if you can find the mistakes. So we have 10 examples that these are very common mistakes, common errors that I found in your assignments. So what I did is, as I was going through all students' assignments, and I found when I kept finding the same error over and over again, then I just gave an example of it here. So these are from your own assignments. What I'd like you to do is take a look through these and see if you can find the mistakes. Good luck! So for quiz number 1, did you find the mistakes? If you take a look in number 1, what's happened here is the student is using English like it's a noun, like a 명사. So actually English is a description. So we can't say it's an un-English unless we describe what English it is. For example, if you say it is a language that we study in this course, that's a possibility. But English is not countable. You can't count it. So we just say that English is what we are learning in this course, or you could say it is the English language that we are learning in this course. The second one is practical. Whenever you begin a sentence, you should always begin with a capital letter. A capital letter means a big letter, which we will talk about a little bit later as well. Number 3, the important point about this is that because this is a school name, and especially because it's our school, you should definitely be using capital letters, because capital letters in English specifically show us that it's an important word and it's a name. So of course our school name is very important, which means we should capitalize the G in Gwangju, the N in national, the U in university, and the E in education. We do not capitalize of because prepositions that are 5 letters or less, we do not need to capitalize. Number 4 is, I noticed that a lot of students do not capitalize the word English. But because it describes a language or a people, we must capitalize it. The same for Korea or Korean. It also must be capitalized, or it is wrong, I'm afraid. So anyways, don't forget that. Number 5 is when we use a comma in English, you must follow with a lowercase, a small letter. Unless you're talking about yourself, when you use the word I, it is always a capital letter. It's never a small letter when you talk about yourself and when you say I. Or if you have a name that follows. So for example, if you have comma and then Sally, the S would have to be a big letter. But in all other cases, we should have a small letter after a comma. The other point is, please don't spell my name wrong. I know it can be confusing when we change languages, but remember that names are important. So I'll try my best not to make mistakes with how to spell your names and how to say your names. And the same for me is, please don't change my name. Number 6. So here I noticed again that many students are not writing in full sentences. So I get something like instructor, and then we get a colon, Sally Arkley. This is not a sentence. So remember that a sentence is a statement. It's something that you know is true, but we need to have a variety of words involved. So our instructor is Sally Arkley. Great. But try your best to answer in full sentences, because the simple reason why is because when we use full sentences, your students will copy you. So if you use good full sentences, then the students will also do the same. But if you use short, unclear grammar, then your students also will use the same. Number 7. So in this case, number 7 is we start with it. So again, it is not truly a full sentence because you don't describe what it refers to. So we have which exams. So because we're talking about 2 exams, it cannot be it. So we're going to say both exams. They are, or we're referring to the 2 exams, they are in week 15 and week 16. Number 8, final exams. So final exams are, we have the original was on week 15 and week 16, but English is strange when we use these little words. We really like to use these little words. But when we refer to something like a month, we say in that month. Or when we refer to a week, like a long period of time, we say in that week. So in week 3 or in September. But when we talk about a particular day, we say it's on that day. So final exams are in week 15 and week 16. Number 9, we will study it October 19th to the 23rd. So 1, 2, and 3 are unusual in English because when we talk about them in reference to order, 1 is described as first. So the trick is to take the 2 last letters, ST, and put it beside the number. So you would put 1 ST. If we talk about 2, it's second. So what are the last 2 letters? The last 2 letters are ND. So we would write 2 ND. And the same for 3. It's only those three numbers, 1, 2, 3, but it's in any case. So even if you have 103, we would describe it as the 103rd. So what are the last 2 letters? Good, RD. So we would say 103, we would write 103, and then RD for 103rd. So in the same case as 23rd, we need to put RD. It can be confusing, and it's a really, really common mistake, so don't worry about it, but do your best to fix your mistakes and don't make them again. Number 10 in the first quiz is we will study presenting and again. We're talking about a particular day, so October 22nd. So we're going to talk about on this day, we will study it, and the ND is the last 2 letters in second. Quiz number 2, I'm not sure if you've had a chance to go through it yet, but I'll give you a couple minutes to do that now. Have a look and see if you can find the mistakes. Now, I'm going to continue because it's boring for me to sit here and not do anything, but more so, if you want to, which I suggest you do, read through these and try to find the mistakes by yourself, why don't you just pause the video and then when you're ready, start it again. So these are another bunch of mistakes that I found that were very common. So in quiz number 2, number 1, there are 2 issues here, because part of the reason what I wanted to do with the first assignment is for you to express yourself, was to see how you did it, how you chose to do that, because there are so many ways for you to express yourself in any language. So the important thing, though, is for us to make sure that whatever way we choose to express ourselves, we are still using good grammar and we are communicating what we want to say. So number 1, we are focused on English. I think there are 2 possible ways that you could look at this. Number 1, you could change it to we are focused, ed, past tense. We are focused on English. Or I think better is we will in the future, starting from now, because at that time we were just starting our course. We will focus on English. Another possibility is our focus, as in our class focus, is English. Number 2, did you notice that there's a bold? Number 2 and it is bolded. When you're doing anything in any language, you want to keep the same format. So we don't want bolded, we don't want italics, because those actually are used for specific purposes. And we want to keep the same font. So font simply means the style of letters that you choose. So for example, I like Times New Roman. It was probably most made popular because of Obama's campaign. His presidential campaign, they think the reason why he won the presidency was because he used Times New Roman. But anyways, I would like you to use Times New Roman because I think if we all use the same font, it's much clearer and it's a much better presentation just for me to read. Also, it shows if you pay attention to instructions, because I noticed that still, I would say, maybe 40% of students are sending me Hangul documents when I've asked you for WordPerfect documents. So please try your best to do what's asked of you in instructions. So we also have, so the font, keep the same font. It is University of Education in English, or you can use GNUE as well, I think. And remember that in any language, again, when we finish a sentence, we show that by using a period at the end. Number 3, we will study in week 9. We're missing the pronoun. So we'll study what in week 9? We will study presenting in English in week 9. So if you don't want to write presenting in English, we do still need it in there, so you can simplify by writing it. Number 4, to do something directly, we have no capital letter, we have no period, and it's not a sentence. So right away, I would dang number 4. It's not a full sentence. Please, please, please try to remember that I am not in your head. So you need to explain yourselves really clearly when you're writing so that I can understand what it is you want to say. Number 5, this is really common is, and I think it's something that you can fix really, really simply, is just checking over your work before you hand it in. And that was spelling mistakes. So attendance is spelled with an A, not an E. It's got 2 A's and an E. But I noticed also that in assignments, there was an I that was skipped. But remember that, especially when you're writing on a computer, they show you. You'll get a red underline. If there's a red underline under your word, it means you've done something wrong. So if you right-click on that word, it should give you a variety of choices for what you want to do with it. Number 6, again, we're going back to the same, is 12th. We would need to define which week. It's the 12th week, and we would use the preposition in. It's in the week. Or you could switch it and you could say in week 12 is also possible. Number 7, 20%. A percentage is like a piece of a pie. So it's just one piece. So then we say 20% is given for participation. Number 8, instructor is referring to one single person. So we have to count it. So an instructor is a person, and then we're talking about, referring to a third person, so we need the ES, teaches people. Number 9 is really cute. I like this because I have 2 questions for you. So I think I lose my points from participation. My first question is, if you're writing, the I think we don't need because it's implied. I already know it's your thinking because you're writing it. Secondly is your points cannot be lost by another person. So, you can't lose your classmates' points. So we don't need to refer to your points as yours. I lose points from participation. We have the I there, so I already know you're talking about yourself. The same for weight. You cannot lose anybody else's weight, and no one can lose it for you, even though that would be lovely. So you don't need to say I lose my weight. You say I lose weight. Okay. Number 10, the final one for quiz 2 is you need a jump after the number, so it shows it is the number, and again, it's not a complete sentence. So we need to create the sentence, and we need a period at the end. So week 3, part 1, again, this is a review. So for this review, because reviews aren't always the most exciting, what I'd like you to do is take a look at, this is another sort of fill in the blanks style. English style names blank to Korean style. So, as we spoke about before. And then what I'd like you to do is fill in the blanks for the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blanks with either first or last, please. And the third step is when you introduce it yourself in English, okay, because it's a little bit different to Korean. I don't think you should change your name, but you do need to change, or you need to understand what each part of your name is. So remember, in English we reverse the order. So fill in the blanks with given or family. So my blank name is Jimin, my blank name is Che. And notice again, this is English style, how you introduce yourself. The answers, if you want to pause the video here, please do so. Take your time and see if you can get all the answers. And on the next slide, we'll find the answers. So again, I'm going to start now, and I'm moving on to slide 10. So again, remember that English style names are opposite to Korean style names. So Korean style family names come first, but in English style, the family names come last. So these are also called last names. Again, Korean style given names, okay, so the ones your parents give you, or maybe your grandparents gave you, or perhaps a fortune teller. Sometimes we'll use fortune tellers for the given names. The given names in Korean come last, but in English, they come first. So we also call them first names. So when you introduce yourself in English, I recommend you use English style because most of the world uses English style names. So for people to understand clearly, then if you reverse the name order and we use special words like given name and family name, you're being very, very clear. So for example, my given name is Jimin and my family name is Che is excellent, lovely. I'm moving on now to the interview steps. So you should be able to fill in the blanks quite easily with introduce, know, listen, and react. So please do so now and pause the video while you try. All right, so I've moved on now to slide 12. And the answers, of course, for your interview steps are first that you introduce yourself. I recommend English style if you're doing an English interview. Second, that you know the different question styles so that you can ask questions that match what you want to ask, but also that you can answer the questions according to what the question style is, because it can be confusing. The third step, of course, is to listen to the answers that are given to you. And the fourth is to react. So remember that to react means that you can ask a related question, or you can just show that you're listening by wow, or that's amazing, or oh dear, something along those lines. Moving on now to slide 13. So this is a quick review of the question types. So just to check and see if you can remember what the different question types that we have looked at are. So what I'd like you to do now, please, is to pause the video and we'll see if you can figure out which question types these are. Okay, so I'm going to move on now to slide 14. And the answers are that the first one is an open direct question. So maybe you ask why, and we look at the first word. So what is the first word? It's what? So if we start with one of the 5 W's, then we know it's an open question. It's a direct question because it's quite casual. You can ask it of anybody. It's direct because we haven't added anything special on the front to make it extra polite. Number 2, do you wake up early? We begin with a verb. So we know that if we start with a verb, it is a closed question, and we should be answering yes or no. Or even, I don't know, is fine, of course. It's a direct question because there's no addition at the beginning. The third question starts with, could you tell me? So right away, this is making it much more polite. This is a lovely style of question, and it's very gentle. This is an indirect question. And remember that the verb comes at the end of the question. That can be quite tricky. For example, many people want to say, could you tell me how old are you? But this is actually not correct grammar. You should move the verb to the end. So could you tell me how old you are? Is correct. Do you know what time it is? Or do you know what the time is? Do you know starts the question, and we end with the verb again. It's an indirect question. Do you remember tag questions, we begin with a statement. He's a really nice guy. And then we check, isn't he? So usually we use this when we're maybe 80% sure of something, but not 100%. Or when we want the other person's opinion, when we want to check, do you think so too? Do you agree with me? They are from Suncheon, aren't they? So we're looking for another tag question. So I'm going to stop there. This is the end of part 1. Good job, and I'll see you in part 2. Bye-bye.